Welcome into the Lawrence Tech Sports Network, your home for Blue Devil Athletics. Jason Ross Jr. back with you here after the three-game road trip. The Blue Devils return home under head coach Kylie Biggs, now 11-4 on the season, 6-2 on this home floor, hoping to improve to 7-2 today against a winless Great Lakes Christian team under head coach Lionel McCray. 0-5 in the conference. Starting fives tonight: Caitlin Smith, Taryn Klein, Sherilyn Bannis, Danielle Hansen, and Nicole Buckingham with the ball right now for the Blue Devils. She'll kick to Hansen. The first shot of the game off the mark there. Curlanda Derville, Valerie Copper, Ogunnahoke Johnson, Mystic Stryker, and Jillian Wilson, the five on the floor for Great Lakes Christian. This team has struggled mightily this season. Blue Devils have already defeated them once. Mistakes just like that creeped into the first matchup. Blue Devils jumped out to a 16-0 start the first time that these two squads got together. Led 50-7 at one point. Early stages in this one, but I asked Coach Kylie Biggs before the game, if you are to get up by that much again, how do you stay focused as Buckingham gets open down low and finishes the easy bucket for the first points of the game? I asked her, how do you stay focused? And she said, doesn't matter if we're up 50. It doesn't matter if we're down 2. Our energy level has to be the same. Our heart rates have to be up. And has to be the same against each team we play because that intensity level cannot drop at this point in the season as we get closer to the back half. And that first shot off the mark there, but the second chance opportunity from Ogunnahoke Johnson goes down, averaging 15 points per game, leading Great Lakes Christian in scoring. Back-to-back solid performances for Johnson. Second 26 point of the season is what she's coming off of. Last time these two squads got together was the Community Schools Day, and that really pumped a bunch of energy into this building. Students have gone home. Most have gone home, some as early as Monday, so the place isn't quite as full, but the Blue Devils still going to find their stride. In transition here, Bannis rolls around and off. Taryn Klein, a nice job on the second effort. Blue Devils did really well in that second chance category the first time around as Caitlin Smith drains the tree. 5-2 Blue Devils. Smith hit 4 threes. The first time these two teams got together, she was coming off a brilliant 6-for-7 performance from downtown against Point Park in that first meeting. Hit a 3 in the first 10 games of the season. She has been lethal from deep this year. So is Buckingham, coming off a 7-for-9 performance from deep as she just muscles her way in to the paint that time against the Puerto Rico native Valerie Copper and finishes the easy deuce to make it 7-2. In the early goings here from Don Riddler Fieldhouse. Steal from Buckingham. She's done that well this season. Up to Bannis. Now in transition, Klein sets up a trailing Smith. Got it to go! Caitlin Smith, 2 for 2 from downtown in the early going. She's picked up right where she left off. She was 0 for 5 from downtown against Wilberforce. She has turned that around quickly. Prior to that, though, she had 2 really good ones. Went 3 for 4 and 3 of 7 in the following game. But this team kind of struggled overall from the field against Wilberforce. They're picking the pace up early going, so I'm getting sped up a bit as my announcer today, and it is 10-2 early here. I mentioned it was 16-0. It's the first time these two teams met up. LTU has a meeting with Point Park next. That'll be on the 29th. Another lackadaisical play will lead to a transition opportunity for Caitlin Smith. Lost it there. Valerie Copper did well to get back. Nice little spin in the paint there from Johnson, but off the mark. Back comes Bannis. Maybe a bit over-anxious on the lead pass attempt down the court there. We don't see the Blue Devils force transition too often, but they have seen the opportunities in the early goings here. Hansen finds herself open and knocks it down. Danielle Hansen, the junior from East Lansing. very underrated players on this team. She got off to a really nice start to the season. On a bit of a slump over her last 5 games. Entered this one for her last 20 from the field. But if she can see that ball go in, she could be a key asset moving forward. An open Smith once again from 3. That one around and off, but Banis does such a nice job with the effort plays. Gets 2 offensive rebounds there, and the Blue Devils gets a reset with a fresh 24. Hansen, she'll take it from deep this time and rattles it home. 2 offensive boards on that possession, and the Blue Devils are up 15-4. Shovel, just a flip up there from Copper that almost went down. Nonetheless, the Blue Devils will find themselves with players running in transition again with numbers. Hansen turning and spinning and hitting. 17-4, quick lead for the Blue Devils. Just over 5 minutes in here. On this end of the floor for LTU, it's been about communication. Taryn Klein, who's on the floor right now, has spoken about that. Said it's all about our talk and the rotation. And as we see Kendall Fisher and Rachel Price getting set to check in here. Going to the line, it'll be Derville for Great Lakes Christian. Just 60% at the line this season. Off the mark on the first. Pleasantville, New Jersey native. We get some substitutions in on both sides here. Holly Epps in on the Great Lakes Christian side. Hansen and Smith get a well-deserved couple of high fives there. 0 for 2, but we get a lane violation on Buckingham, so another attempt for Derville. Free throw line is another area where this team has struggled to shoot the ball. They do get the third and extra opportunity to go there, so 17-5 now. The Blue Devils going back the other way, shooting the ball well this season, about 70 points per game. Up there, top 5 in the WAC. LTU shot 51% from the field the first time they played Great Lakes Christian. Spiraling into the lane there goes Derville. Running into traffic, and that'll give LTU possession back. They based off of the stats, when you look at this Great Lakes Christian team, you can just feel that they have to force up attempts. Their 3 leading scorers, Derville, Johnson, and Stryker. They score the ball, averaging 13 points a game as Stryker, averaging 15 points a game as Johnson. Is running into trouble here as Kendall Fisher. And one Achilles heel for her this year has probably been turnovers. Derville averaging 12 points a game. And back comes Copper. But this team has to force up a lot of shots. And they do a lot of that, turning the ball over. And that can lead to transition opportunities for LTU this afternoon. A quick, nifty play there. Tic-tac-toe for Buckingham and Price. And it's 19-5 now. It's a 79-111-32 victory for LTU. The first time these two teams met up. The shovel this time to Copper, diving into the paint. Price snags the rebound. She's a real force in the paint defensively. And here she comes galloping the other way, getting the ball in the front court for LTU. Rachel Price leading the conference in blocks per game. Here's a runway for Klein, but met at the rim there by Stryker. Mystic Stryker coming off a 13-point, 16-rebound performance. She can get it done down low, offensively and defensively. Price lines up the 3. She can knock that down. Offensive rebound going up for Klein that time. Her second offensive board, and she makes it 21-5. Last time Taryn Klein was on this floor, she had a spectacular performance as she comes down with the board there. Went 6 of 7 from deep. Career high from 3 against Michigan Dearborn in what felt like a must-win game. There she is again, gliding in for an offensive board, seeing it well early on and finding Buckingham for 2 more. Taryn Klein off to a nice start in this one. That was her 6th rebound already, to go along with 2 assists and 2 points in 8 minutes. Don't usually talk about Taryn Klein as one of the better rebounders on this team, but she has come up big already this afternoon as the score is 23-7 now. Klein will now pump left and drive, found traffic, but now she finds Banis. This ball will go the other way as Banis fell on the baseline, but with this team, it's kind of felt like when they get a second effort in whatever category outside of Buckingham, that's when the offense can really flow. And that's what happened the last time they were on this floor in a big, big game in front of a packed house. Michigan Dearborn at 6-1 in the WAC. Their only loss obviously coming to Lawrence Tech. And Taryn Klein had a lot to do with that, hitting 6 threes. His team kind of relies on the 3. Head coach Kylene Biggs has told me how big it is for this team in terms of offensive flow, how big it is in the women's game in general. Here's a lead pass up ahead for Fisher. Feeling confident early on as Smith kicked a Dollarhide that time. Short on the 15-footer. In transition, this game moving at a quick pace. An early attempt in the shot clock there from Valerie Copper. And now pushing it away comes Lawrence Tech again with numbers. Dollarhide stops up to Buckingham. Stop and pop. Got it to go. Under a minute to go now in this opening quarter. As anticipated, LTU in control. And a 2-3 zone look. Well, they will go to man here. Blue Devils really played the 2-3 zone well last Wednesday in their most previous win against Holy Cross. That was a big win. They came back from down 25-12. We're down 25-12 at one point, then went on a 27-4 run. And it was a big win on the road in Indiana as Smith tries her luck from deep again, off the mark, but another offensive board. Buckingham cleaning up the glass this time, finding Dollarhide, who knocks it down. 27-7 makes it a 20-point lead. And Great Lakes Christian just 1 of 5 in their last 5 field goal attempts. Derville will take the final clock here. Copper gliding into the paint. Left some time on the shot clock, and I think Derville noticed that and opted to foul. 3.9 on the clock. Might end up actually being a good foul there. Kendall Fisher at the buzzer, off the mark. Nonetheless, a 20-point lead after 1 for LTU. Final home game of 2018. The Blue Devils looking to close out this year at the Riddler on a high note. And they're off to an auspicious start. We'll be right back after this quick breather. Second quarter coming your way. You're watching Lawrence Tech women's basketball in the home for LTU Athletics. Welcome back into LTSN. You're watching Blue Devil Women's Basketball, our final broadcast of 2018, but not the final game of 2018 for Lawrence Tech. They'll head to Pennsylvania to play Point Park University, a team that they've already beaten once this season on this floor. That was the game when we watched Caitlin Smith, who's guarding Calandra DeVille right now, absolutely go bonkers on this home floor in the first half. 6 of 7 from deep at 20 points. It was a brilliant Klay Thompson-esque performance, and here is Smith streaking out all alone for the easy bucket to make it 29-7. Caitlin Smith, really cool personality off the floor. I've had the chance to speak with her a couple of times. All of these girls are absolutely awesome to speak with, the cool chemistry that they have. A lot of them experienced, obviously only one newcomer this year, and that's Kendall Fisher, and she's fit right in. Her teammates have loved the addition that she's brought. The fans have loved the addition that she's brought as a very experienced player. CJ Bandis finishes off that play on a nice roll to the cup. CJ, one of the leaders on this team, vocally when they need it. She has a great feel for when to interject that. Very intense throughout the game, and that's what head coach Kylene Biggs, despite the score in this one, she'll want to keep up that intensity throughout this game. Stopping and popping is Johnson and knocking it down. Averaging 15 points per game, leading the Great Lakes Christian team in scoring. Only player above the team shooting 30% from the field as Smith knocks that down. Smith from deep. She is shooting well above 30% at 40% on the season from three-point range, leading the Blue Devils in that category. And off to a nice start here. That was her third triple of the game. It's now 34-11 with Smith 4 of 6 from distance, 3 of 5 from distance, 4 of 6 from the field. Back comes Buckingham with her head up. There's a lot of open spaces right now, and Smith, they're going to call her for a travel when she stepped to the left just slightly there. Still 34-11, though. That was a problem for this Great Lakes Christian defense. I spoke to head coach Lionel McCray before the game about the struggles this team has had. She touched on the inexperience, the freshmen that are in this lineup. And they have two players that have never played the game before coming into this season. As Hansen takes a hard foul there, Stryker does well defending the rim, but a bit too over-aggressive that time, and Hansen will earn herself a couple of free throw attempts. Hansen had 14 double-digit scoring performances last season, averaging about 7 points per game this year, molecular and cell biology major. Goes 1 for 2 at the line there to make it 35-11. Season high 111 points the last time these two teams got together for the Blue Devils. And this afternoon, the awesome black alternate uniforms that have been introduced this year. Normally, LTU's home uniforms would actually look very similar to Great Lakes Christian, so opted to go with the black ones today. And they do look very nice. Got to love those black uniforms. The soccer team brought those in this year as well. Now on the basketball court, on the home floor. Nice cut. It's Smith going up. Couldn't quite finish there. And back comes Stryker. 1 on 3. Not in her favor. Dribbled it off, I believe, Bandis' foot that time. So Great Lakes Christian will keep possession. Kendall Fisher checks back in. On this end of the floor, the Blue Devils holding opponents to 53 points per game this season. Derville well short that time from deep. And that is a point of emphasis that Lionel McCray told me before the game. We don't shoot the ball well from 3. She touched on that, just 15% on the season. Taryn Klein, on the other hand, she is shooting the ball well from 3 this season. Went 6 of 7 the last time she was on this floor, and it is now 38-11 in favor of LTU. When Klein gets going from distance, this team can really get in a rhythm. Her Caitlin Smith, Rachel Price, those are the type of players outside of Nicole Buckingham. When they are scoring and this team is flowing, here's Klein again in transition, steps, pounces down low for Buckingham. Ran into some trouble. And Blue Devils will keep, oh, they're going to call a tie-up actually here, I believe. So possession will go back to Great Lakes Christian here. Great Lakes Christian did a nice job of getting back in transition there and halting the progression of that rush up the floor from Buckingham and company. Driving and scooping there is Topper, pulling down the board, Price, and pushing with the speed of Fisher. We talked about that one Achilles heel for her, though, this year, and that has been turnovers. We see it kind of creep in there. Blue Devils hope for as clean of a performance as they can possibly have this afternoon. Couple of games off from WAC play for Lawrence Tech over the Christmas break. That drops from the field to make it 38-13. I mentioned Point Park is where the Blue Devils will travel next up to Pennsylvania on the 29th after they get to go home for a few days for Christmas break, but then they'll be right back at it, going to work. This is a sport that makes a lot of sacrifices over the Christmas break. They stick around an extra 5 or 6 days in comparison to the students that have gone home as early as Monday. Had 7 a.m. practice earlier this week. We got a chance to talk to head coach Kylene Biggs and Nicole Buckingham earlier this week, and you can check that interview out on the LTU Athletics YouTube channel, but kind of touched on the fact that overall with this team, despite being 11-4, they aren't totally satisfied. And they still feel they want to hit their peak. And Taryn Klein off to mark that time, but they are hitting their peak on the offensive glass this afternoon as Buckingham can just settle it down, feed it back to Bannis for a fresh shot clock here. Buckingham got it to go. And the Blue Devils eclipse the 40 mark. 35% as a team from three-point range this season for the Blue Devils. Emily Landgolf getting set to check back in. She was big on the Blue Devils road trip as they escaped Ann Arbor when they went to Concordia. And if it weren't for Emily Landgolf, they might have not escaped the upset big from the Cardinals. Trailed late in that one. Landgolf had a 17-point career-high performance. She was spectacular in that one, made some awesome threes and really got the offense flowing off the bench. She has been a boost of energy. They look to her here down low. She'll opt to kick it back out. Covered well that time from the help defense, but takes a quick shot there. Fisher did well in the nice effort, and the Blue Devils continue to clean up the offensive glass. The block from behind by Stryker. She continues to be the one bright spot for Great Lakes Christian, currently trailing by 28, but Stryker has defended well down low. Landgolf off a screen this time. The Blue Devils with a fresh 25. Slicing and dicing to the rim, trying to just scoop it home there was Buckingham. Couldn't quite do so. Buckingham coming off a 31-point performance. Earned back-to-back WAC Player of the Week while this team was gone. Absolutely special. 27 points per game over that stretch of last week, and a well-deserved honor. Earned a couple last year. It was December of last year when Nicole scored her 1,000th point as Fisher steps into the jumper there off the mark. One of just a few 1,000-point scorers in Blue Devil history. Great Lakes Christian team shooting under 30% from the field on the season. A lot of misses like that. Just 15% from three-point range, 51% from the free throw line. On the other side, Smith off the mark there, but Buckingham continues to rebound down low. Price on the second chance. The bounce, and it drops. Buckingham already with 11 points and 9 boards, one shy of a double-double in the first half. She has 8 double-doubles this season. And Price now with 4 points and 4 boards. It's a 12-2 Lawrence Tech run over the last 10 minutes. Here's Landgolf in transition. Striker again defensively. Once again, the reoccurring theme of her really being the only bright spot. Plenty of substitutions getting ready to check in for Lawrence Tech. That is the 10th turnover for Great Lakes Christian. On the other side, it was the 11th for Lawrence Tech. Both teams turning the ball over in sporadic fashion in the early goings here. The lead is up to 30 now. Buckingham extends it to 33. That was Price, rather. Five on the floor right now for Lawrence Tech. Bannis, Landgolf, Dollarhide. My apologies, that was Ruster on the three. Looking down at a note for a second there. Ruster, Landgolf, Dollarhide, Klein, and Bannis, the five on the floor right now for Lawrence Tech. Slithering her way through the paint that time when Copper couldn't finish at the cup. And again, just too many opportunities at the rim that haven't been converted this afternoon for Great Lakes Christian. This time it's Klein, the long two, gets it to go. It's now a 15-2 run over the last 7 minutes for Lawrence Tech. We get a timeout called by Lionel McRae. So with 1:31 to play in the opening half, it's up to a 48-13 lead for Lawrence Tech. You're watching Blue Devil basketball on your home for LTU Athletics. Welcome back to LTSN. Just over 90 seconds to play in this opening half. 48-13 now. The Blue Devil lead in commanding, cruising fashion right now. It's been seamless to this point. Turnover is probably the one blemish, though, that head coach Kylene Biggs will look at to this point, I guess. But limiting Great Lakes Christian to 19% from the field, just 6 of 32 shooting right now. This is Great Lakes Christian. Landgolf on the defensive side this time against Derville. The step-through move from Derville off the mark that time. Ball ricochets to her on the fortuitous offensive board off the mark. Price down there to tip the board, decline up to Bannis. A streaking Dollarhide. Landgolf in transition from deep. Off the mark that time. Dollarhide fighting for the board. We'll go back the other way. Hope did such a nice job of that in the Blue Devils' last victory. Couldn't come away with the board there, but was spectacular defensively. The rebounding side of things, offensively and defensively against Holy Cross in that big comeback victory. And those are things that are much needed. Not necessarily always showing up in the stat sheet, but in a game like that, something that you can't get away with not having. And here she is defensively this time. They're going to call her for the foul, I believe, on the elbow of Ogunnahoke Johnson. That'll earn a couple of free throws here for Johnson with 47 seconds remaining on the second quarter clock. Johnson just 48% from the free throw line on the season, able to get that one to go. Off the mark on the second, though, and Dollarhide pulls down the board. About 14-second difference between shot and game here. A 34-point Blue Devil lead. Taryn Klein looking to extend it. That one off the mark. Now we'll see if Great Lakes Christian tries to wind this one down. Just about a 1-second difference between shot and game now. They almost turn it over. Landgolf trying to force that turnover. Will she get the tie up here? Are they going to call? Yep, she will get that tie up, so the Blue Devils get the ball back. Excellent effort from Landgolf, and with 20.3 seconds to go, LTU can wind this clock down and maybe hit the 50 mark. Klein comes up short. It's Ruster down low, cleaning things up. Blue Devils do ultimately hit the 50 mark. That is the 10th offensive board this afternoon for LTU, and it makes it 50-14. Last time around it was 59-13. This time around 50-14. Blue Devils head to the locker room in cruise control. You're listening to Blue Devil basketball here from Don Riddler Fieldhouse. We'll be back on the other side of the half. Welcome back to LTSN. You're watching Blue Devil women's basketball. Second half of action getting started. Great Lakes Christian in town for the second time this season, and a similar result in the early goings. 50-14 after 2 is the Blue Devil lead. They led 57-13 after 2 in the first meeting. Same 5 that started the game are out on the floor for Lawrence Tech in their black alternate uniforms today. Little 15-footer drops for Johnson there, and makes it 50-16. It's all about the growth for this Great Lakes Christian team. Each game, it's almost tough to even go in thinking about the win column. The closest they came was a 62-60 game back on November 17th. That was the closest they came to winning a game. Since then, it's been rough, coming off a 79-45 loss to Andrews. Blue Devils coming off a loss to Wilberforce University. It was a heartbreaking defeat, lost by 51-50, a game that they did not shoot the ball well in, but still could have won the game despite only shooting about 28% from the field as a team. Buckingham at 31. As Derville drives into traffic once again, Great Lakes Christian just hasn't been able to convert down low. That one well contested, but Caitlin Smith, she'll spot up, she'll shoot around and off. Buckingham continues to streak in and clean up the glass. She has a double-double now. That was her 10th board already this game. 11 points, 11 rebounds. 4 of those have been offensive rebounds. In 19 minutes today for Nicole Buckingham. Tied with Caitlin Smith for the most points. Each of them have 11. Buckingham drops it down there. Leading the WAC in scoring this season. Up to 18 points per game now this year. The senior guard told me earlier this week that she actually in high school wasn't much of a scorer, but obviously has taken on that lead role in the Blue Devil uniform and has done it quite well. The handoff to Derville. She's taken a lot of shots in this one, gets that one to go there, shooting just 26% from the field. Great Lakes Christian only have one player that shoots above 30% from the field, and that's Johnson. Kind of epitomizes the struggles for this team. They shoot the ball a lot, just simply doesn't go in a lot. Caitlin Smith, that shot has gone down for her a lot this season. Gets another one to go there. It's her 4th 3 of the game, and it's 57-18 with a little over 8 to play in the third. 8 of 17 as a team from downtown for Lawrence Tech in this game. They hit 15 the last time they played Great Lakes Christian. They made 40% of those attempts. Here's Caitlin Smith open again and knocking it down. When she gets going, she really gets going. That was her 5th. She has 14 points now. And she is rolling 5 of 9 from deep. Had 6 in the game earlier this season against Point Park. And she has 5 with plenty of time left in this one. The lead is up to 40 now for Lawrence Tech. This will be a couple of free throw attempts for Mystic Stryker. Five straight double-digit scoring performances for Stryker. Gets the first free throw to go there. Big 3 for this team. Stryker, DeVille, and Johnson. You look at their numbers today. Obviously, they have to play most of this game. 11 for Stryker, 5 for DeVille, and 4 for Copper. 60-22 now. As the senior leader, C.J. Bannis, will dribble into the front court. Smith almost had some open space there. Now she'll go around a Hansen screen. She is confident right now. Looks down low for Klein. Stryker with another block. Coming up big defensively once again. That's her 3rd block of the game. Klein on his 2nd opportunity. No good, but Smith, the board there. Klein has done well on the boards today. Had 5 in the early goings of the first quarter. And open Buckingham, a little too easy down there. Couldn't quite finish, though. A rare mistake in this one from LTU, but they'll look to regroup and pick it right back up defensively. 11-4, the Blue Devils on the season so far, 5-2 in the WAC. Another one off of WAC play on the 29th, but we'll get right back into it when January gets going. Bannis looked up in transition, had to corral it. Rochester College on the second to Smith, looks for another and knocks it down. Kate is feeling it. 6 threes ties a season high for Caitlin Smith. 3 already in this third quarter, and it's 63-22. Johnson, a little hook shot off the window and down. Platoon swap getting set to check in for Lawrence Tech, a fresh new 5 at the scorer's table. But meanwhile, Caitlin Smith to the rim that time, blocked by Stryker, and here comes Mystic Stryker the other way. To Johnson, she'll stop, look. Copper, Buckingham did well to cut her off on the baseline. The kick to Stryker, the penetration off the high glass, no good. Taryn Klein continues her excellent day on the glass. Up ahead for Smith. Buckingham wide open the other way with Hanson. Easy finish. Timeout called, I believe, here. Or will we get substitutions in? Might be an official's timeout here for Johnson at the other end of the floor, grabbing her left leg. Fresh new 5 on the floor for Lawrence Tech after a very nice run there from Smith. Extends the lead to 65-24 after the bucket. It's Price, it's Ruster, Dollarhide, Fisher, and Landgolf rounding out the 5 on the floor for Lawrence Tech. Derville, Copper, Johnson, Stryker, and Epps for Great Lakes Christian. The turn, the 17-footer off the mark that time from Johnson, and Landgolf likes what she sees the other way. Running is Dollarhide. Nice job to cut off the pass there from Derville. They went crashing into the baseline. Lawrence Tech will keep possession here with a fresh shot clock. Under 5 to go in the third quarter now. 0-11 Great Lakes Christian team. Ruster looking for her second 3 and getting it to go. 2 for 2 now from deep. Ruster with 8 points. She hasn't missed yet. Johnson. No, Dollarhide the board. Landgolf will set it up here. A lot of backcourt depth this season for Lawrence Tech with the emergence of Landgolf and Fisher, the 2 that are on the floor right now. Ruster, another player feeling it from deep right now. She's 3 for 3, and the Blue Devils hit the 70 mark. A 47-point lead right now for Lawrence Tech, and they'll get the ball back here. Just nothing can go right at this moment for Great Lakes Christian, and everything really flowing in the direction of the 3-point shot for Lawrence Tech. A point of emphasis for this team offensively that head coach Kylie Biggs has talked about. Says that it is important as they need to get the net unhooked here at the other end of the floor before Lawrence Tech can get the possession going. 71-24. Kendall Fisher getting some valuable experience at that point guard spot right now. A very smart player as a freshman, leading the conference in all freshman scoring, averaging 12 points per game. And right there, she finds a bucket. Diving another way goes Copper. Ruster the other way for Landgolf. Mentioned Landgolf's career high 16 points Part of the 3-game road trip that she had against Concordia. Blue Devils really needed that. And here she is taking a runway to the cup. Pretty finish at the rim with the scoop righty. 75-24 now. Landgolf with 4 points in this one. This Blue Devil offense is really exploding in the second half now from deep. Total of 6 triples alone in this second half. We get a whistle and a player down on the floor there. That's Epps. Smith is 6 for 10 from 3. Last time against this team, she was 4 for 10. Ruster is 3 for 3. It's been a sparkling offensive performance to this point. Johnson the drive against Price, holding her ground. They're going to call a foul to the disapproval of the Lawrence Tech bench. Could have gone either way. Ruster, her presence felt down there. The leading blocks per game average in the conference. They'll need that presence down low as the Blue Devils get back into WAC play in January. Favorable schedule ahead for Lawrence Tech. You have Point Park, a team that you dominated last time out. Rochester College, Lourdes, Aquinas, Concordia, all leading up to a matchup with Siena Heights at Adrian. And then Indiana Tech to follow that one, a tough 2-game stretch on the 19th, the 16th rather, and the 19th when they'll play Siena Heights and Indiana Tech. But up until then, I mean, you look at the WAC standings, Blue Devils currently sit 4th in the WAC standings, but it's really tight up there with Michigan, Dearborn, Indiana Tech, and Siena Heights. Indiana Tech at 7-0, Michigan, Dearborn at 6-1, but Siena Heights at 6-2. The Blue Devils at 5-2. If the Blue Devils win this one, obviously won't count towards WAC play, but once you get into those matchups, you know, you could see yourself quickly climbing up because it is that tight, and it appears as though it could be that tight down the stretch. Rushing their way here is Powell. That'll earn her a couple of free throws. But getting back to the subject of the WAC conference at this point in the season, at the top of the conference, you could quickly jump up. Yeah, I mean, you got some big matchups when we get into the new year. Michigan, Dearborn going up against Siena Heights, Indiana Tech. All those teams will collide in early January before Lawrence Tech plays Siena Heights, Indiana Tech, and Michigan, Dearborn again. At this point last year, LTU was 12-3 on the season, 6-2 in WAC play, so just about the same pace that they're on from last year. As Fisher turns it over there, Derville with the steal. She'll push against her. Unable to finish there. Price came crashing in, but the Blue Devils will retain the possession here. Blue Devils were 6-2 in WAC play at this point last season, 5-2 right now. They are relatively unsatisfied as a team, but everything's still ahead of them. They'll have to just keep playing their game. Here's Dollar Hyde from distance. Off the mark there. You feel like they've done a job well of keeping the energy up high and keeping that heart rate up high, as Coach Fisher told me before this game. Even in losses, though, they've done well of keeping that energy, that intensity, that tenacity up late in the game. They're going to say the basket was good. And then they called a foul after, actually, on Great Lakes Christian. You don't see that very often. Counted the bucket, but then the foul, so 75-30 with a little over 80 seconds to play in the third quarter. Lawrence Tech is 4-0 against Great Lakes Christian and well on their way to becoming 5-0 against Great Lakes Christian. Landgolf unable to finish there, but the Blue Devils once again will get possession back. early afternoon Friday tip-off today from Don Ridler Fieldhouse, a little after 5 p.m. as we get close to the holiday. Nice up and under move from Landgolf there. She's pretty nifty around the rim. Ability to finish in multiple ways with both hands. Nice job in the passing lane from Ruster. Stryker took advantage of the slight cheat, but the offensive foul called. Foul called on Stryker, the offensive foul, and with 45 seconds to go in the third quarter, a 77-30 lead for the Blue Devils on the home floor, looking to improve to 7-2 at home. You're watching Blue Devil basketball on your home for Lawrence Tech Athletics. Welcome back to the Lawrence Tech Sports Network. You're watching Lawrence Tech women's basketball, our final broadcasts of this year, but still plenty more to go. 6 more home games after this one. And those will certainly all be big. This team puts an emphasis on the back half of the season. That's obviously what we're keeping an eye on, but before they can get there, obviously you'll finish off this one, and then Point Park on the 29th. Landgolf in the corner. She gets it to go. It's been a nice shot for her this season. Off the bench, a key asset. Pushing is Ruster here, and the shot clock is off. A 50-point lead for Lawrence Tech. Landgolf with 8. To Fisher with 5. They threw it away with 3 seconds, and that'll do it for the third quarter. The lead is 50 after 3. You're watching Blue Devil basketball on LTSN. Lawrence Tech in search of their 12th win of the season. We'll be right back on the other side of the break. Welcome back into LTSN. Jason Ross Jr. here with you. Production team of Kia Tyus behind the screens and Sarah Davis running the camera this afternoon. Taryn Klein, CJ Bannis, Nicole Buckingham, Danielle Hansen, and Caitlin Smith with 6 threes in this one on the floor right now for Lawrence Tech. This is the group that started the third quarter and just got off to a tear. I mean, 6 threes quickly between Smith and Ruster as Buckingham drives there. She has a double-double in this one, 13 points to go along with 11 boards, averaging 9 boards on the season. That's best for 4th in the conference as a guard/forward role. Striker, the one bright spot today for Great Lakes Christian, diving there. Went Powell, the board to Hansen, and now Bannis. And it's all cosmetic now for Lawrence Tech. Turnovers have been the one Achilles heel, though. 13 turnovers on the day. We saw it at the end of the third. That'll be one thing they'll certainly look to clean up for the Blue Devils as you get into tougher competition. Obviously, each conference game, in the view of the team, it's a must-win at this point. Each conference game out there, as it appears as though it will be a very tight WAC race this year. Foul called on Valerie Copper. I mentioned the early January big WAC matchups. We have Buckingham at the line here off in the first, but some early January big WAC matchups. You have Indiana Tech colliding with Siena Heights on the 5th. And U of M Dearborn going up against Indiana Tech. LTU owns the tiebreaker with Michigan Dearborn if that were to become a scenario down the road. Obviously still one more matchup to go, though, between those two teams. And still another big matchup for Lawrence Tech with Siena Heights. Derville into the paint. She has been sporadic down there. Just really struggling to shoot the ball. Bannis pushing the other way with haste into the front court and able to finish. Top scores for Great Lakes Christian. They've held Derville to 2 of 15 shooting. They've held Copper to 2 of 13. They've held Johnson to 6 of 18. The Blue Devils are still in cruise control, up 55 with 8:19 to go in the fourth quarter. You're listening to Blue Devil Basketball on your home for Blue Devil Athletics. Welcome back to LTSN. You're watching Blue Devil Basketball and you're home for LTU Athletics. It's a 55-point lead right now, so not much in the entertainment value in this one, but ways to look at this one. You think moving forward as Hansen comes up with a big block there to swat it out of bounds. It'll stay with Great Lakes Christian. You think, obviously, you point to the turnovers as one downside for LTU in this one, but the offensive flow, they talked earlier this week about finding shots in their offense, and they've done just that today. And that's what's led to this dominating performance. Looks like we're going to see that same substitution that we saw in the third quarter that brought in a new 5 as Dollar Hyde, Price, Kendall Fisher, Emily Landgolf, and Ruster all at the scorers table. Here's Caitlin Smith, a dazzling performance for her from deep today. Taryn Klein, you can say the same about her. Awesome performance on the boards. This time, thought about a 3. She'll hand to Caitlin Smith here with 10 on the shot clock. 7:30 to play in the fourth. It's Buckingham driving. Blocked there, and now Powell can set up the other way. Cross-court kick here. Dribble from Johnson, the shot off the mark. Taryn Klein, Fort Wayne, Indiana native, the sophomore who earned WAC freshman honors last year. This play was called for a travel before Smith got the shot off, and this lineup played really well tonight, this afternoon rather. Still 7:04 to play. We could see some substitutions down this final stretch, but with a 55-point lead, we get a new 5 on the floor for Lawrence Tech. On the other side, the struggles are kind of illustrated in the sense that this team for Great Lakes Christian, they only have 7 players, so you can only do so much at a certain point. Fatigue plays a factor. Stop and pop jumper there off the mark from Copper, and Price harassed and fouled. Emily Landgoff dribbling the ball to the floor there, finding Ruster, who's had a nice performance today in double figures and a perfect performance to this point. 13 points, 5 of 5 from the field, 3 of 3 from deep for Ruster. 87-30 now. Another turnover. That's the 8th for Great Lakes Christian. Fisher, the bounce to Ruster, looking to stay perfect. Blocked there, but got her own second effort and put it up and in. (89-30). Great Lakes Christian yet to score in the 4th. Just haven't had any rhythm down low. Shots haven't quite gone down enough in order to find a rhythm. Emily Landgoff, who had a fun play the last time these two teams got together, she was inbounding the ball in the front court, actually to our left, and she inbounded it off the back of a Great Lakes Christian player. Had a nice laugh about that before the game with her, and she told me that she used to do it in high school a little bit, but that was the first time she did it in college. You can go back and watch the first game, I guess, that these two teams had and find that little fun highlight. 89-30 still in the 4th with under 6 to play in the 4th. The 15-footer off the mark. Cleaning up the glass there was Mystic Striker, 5'7" freshman from Harlem High School, 13 points per game. She's obviously started every game for this team. She's got 15 in this one. If they're going to grow, it's going to be through her down the road. But right now, LTU, convincing fashion in command. That was just the first point of this 4th quarter for Great Lakes Christian. 89-32 the current score, 5:07 to play in the 4th. We'll have the rest for you on the other side of the break. We'll be back in 60. You're watching Louisville Women's Basketball. Okay. Welcome back instead of Don Ridler Fieldhouse. Home with the Blue Devils, our final home broadcasts of 2018 for this basketball season, but still plenty to go between the men and women as Landgoff drops that down from a few feet behind the three-point that time for Emily. With confidence there, too, and she is now 2 for 3 from distance. Head coach Kylie Biggs, some good defense there from Kendall Fisher rather. Able to stick with her, but the tough shot goes up and in. Just better offense that time, sometimes beating out the better defense, but Fisher looking to answer right back at the rim, unable to finish there. Might have been hit, no call. Back comes Great Lakes Christian. The cross-court feed. Nice stand there from Price. That's her calling card down low in the paint. Those long, lengthy arms, utilizes them to perfection, leading the WAC in blocks this season. Landgoff looking to stay hot. We get a foul call, I believe, here. Landgolf with 3:50 to play in the fourth. Fisher thought about it. Landgolf open again. Got it to go. Emily Landgolf, one of the many Blue Devils beginning to heat up from downtown so far this afternoon. She has 3 from deep. Ruster has 3 from deep. Smith has 6 from deep. A litany of 3-point buckets. It is 95-34. The Blue Devils having an offensive party this afternoon here inside of the Riddler. 3:34 to go. We'll be right back on the other side of the break. Welcome back to LTSN. 3:34 to go, fourth quarter. 95-34. Can the Blue Devils hit the 100 mark for the second time this season? Obviously, they did that earlier this year against the same Great Lakes Christian team. The lead is 61. They won by 79 last time they played this team. I don't think that's really what they're worrying about right now, though. Just kind of having a clean performance all around, getting shots through the offense. They have done that to perfection. When they do that to perfection, it really is fun to watch for this team when they are flowing from the three-point line. Such a integral part of this offense. Now can they just wind it down in clean fashion? Emily Landgolf has had a really nice quarter and continues it there. 97-34 now. Landgolf in double digits. 3 away, actually, from tying a career high. She's had a really nice stretch. She was actually, after that career high performance, 1 of 7. But she is now in this one playing with confidence. Dollar Hyde from 3. That comes up short. LTU averaging 70 points per game on the season. Obviously won't see as many high-scoring games like this in WAC play. But they are clicking on all cylinders today. If you're wondering, Great Lakes Christian just 14 of 62 from the field today. That comes out to 22%, 0 of 4 from three-point range. Landgolf was open again that time from 3. The fans are on the edge of their seat waiting for another one possibly. They could have tied her career high, sidestepping into the paint there and drawing a foul and earning herself another opportunity. Will be Derville. To add insult to injury, this Great Lakes Christian team has kind of been banged up a bit in this one. We saw Johnson grabbing her right leg earlier. Derville a little nicked up there. You wonder what the message is like in the locker room after a game like this if you're on the losing side of things. They have experienced it, but how do you bounce back from it moving forward, looking to develop? Kendall Fisher, she's certainly developed this season. One of the better, if not the best, freshmen in the conference. Leading freshman in the conference and scoring at 12 points per game, and that has come off the bench this year. Just thinks that she'll probably have a role in the starting lineup down the road at some point for this team. But she has adapted and adjusted well. Remember talking back to her after the first game of the season, said there were little nerves in the beginning, but she quickly overcame those nerves, and now she's settled in and she's found her role. Can the Blue Devils limit the turnovers, though, moving forward? That has been the only issue in this one, a total of 17. Possibly a hint of maybe a slight lack of focus at times in this one, but for the most part, we've seen them really keep up, as head coach Kylie Biggs told me before the game, the heart rates. Now we see them in this 2-3 look that they did so well in their last one against Holy Cross. Really suffocated Holy Cross in that one with the 2-3 zone. Tyler Hyde was on the floor right now, did an excellent job of rebounding in that one and doing the dirty work, getting things done. Some late offensive buckets from 3. Buckingham's game elevated in the second half. So did Caitlin Smith in that last win. The Blue Devils will get back in the win column with this one. They haven't lost 2 in a row all season. They haven't lost 2 in a row since the 2016-17 year, actually, in regular season play. And that streak will continue as they look to back up the high expectations that they had coming into this season. They'll get their 12th win of the season. Emily Landgoff looking to tie a career high there, off the mark there, but she's had a brilliant second half. And with under a minute to play here, I think it just becomes a question of can you hit the 100 mark. Oh for 5 from distance now for Great Lakes Christian. A rare offensive board. Lawrence Tech has dominated the glass in this one, similar to last time out. 61 boards for Lawrence Tech in this one compared to 25 for Great Lakes Christian. One of a few whopping statistical categories that really stand out to you. Once again, 61 rebounds for Lawrence Tech in this one, to 26 now for Great Lakes Christian. In the first meeting, that rebounding category was 63-36 in favor of Lawrence Tech. Just 2 seconds left, and that'll do it. 98-39 your final. As anticipated, a convincing win to close out the year on this home floor. Still one more to go, though, before we get into the new year. Blue Devils will travel to Point Park on the 29th. They'll get to head home for a bit for Christmas break with their families. And it's right back to work. This could be a fun team down the road. Caitlin Smith finishes with 6 threes. Emily Landgoff heats up late. Ruster had a brilliant performance. Buckingham had a double-double in the first half. Blue Devils improve to now 12-4 on the season. We'll be back in January when WAC play gets back underway. It's a pleasure to have you here in 2018. Signing off, I'm Jason Ross Jr., producer Kia Tyus, Sarah Davis running the camera tonight. Have a wonderful holiday, and we'll see you back in the new year.